Robert in Victoria, British Columbia. Sorry. Here he goes again. I remember wondering, why do they call it British Columbia as opposed to Canadian Columbia? I mean, where did that come from? And I remember a long time ago taking the time to look it up and say, oh, there used to be an American Columbia, or U.S. Columbia, and a British Columbia, and it's along the Columbia River where the Columbia River empties out. And originally the name, if I remember right, came from a ship, an American ship, the Columbia something or other. And England had one side of it, the United States had the other side of it, and eventually that became the Oregon Territories. So they distinguish, once that was divided up, and today we just call it British Columbia, or BC, as the locals like to say. Okay, there's probably a question here. Robert would like to add 2 REL subs to his setup, and he has 1 sub cable, not 2. Now, should he get 2 cables that are exactly the same for his subs, or is using the one I already have with the next cable I buy good enough? A lot of that depends, Robert, on how you're hooking the sub up. Fortunately, you have REL subs. REL subs like to do it what I consider the proper way. And the proper way is to take the output of your power amplifier, the speaker outputs that go to your speakers, and put that into the subwoofer. From there, the sub, which is itself is already amplified. So it's not using any current, you're not using any wattage from that, but you're using the signal as it comes out of your power amplifier. And look, whether you believe it or not, your power amplifier has a sound to it. And you're better off incorporating that sound of your power amplifier into however the output and the sound of your subwoofer is going to be. Because trust me, I started this thing years and years ago. I don't know if I started it. It's one of those things where I invented it. Was I the first person to do it? I have no idea, but it was an independent thought of mine. I'm sure somebody else did it because REL's been doing it for a long time, independent of me. But in any case, it's an obvious idea. And I did it with little transformers. There's a much better way to do it, but however REL does it is the right way to do it. And therefore, if you're going to use the REL high-level input coming out of the power amplifier and into the REL, which is my recommendation, then you're okay, because that speaker cable isn't going to make a whole hill of beans difference in sound quality, not to my ears. The RCA, if you were to take an RCA cable and do that, that can make a difference in sound, and it can also impact your preamplifier if that's where you're taking it out of. Sometimes having multiple long length cables in parallel hooked onto the back of your preamplifier can impact the way the preamplifier itself sounds depending on how its output stage is designed. So I'd stay away from that if you could. And if you do follow my advice and use the output of your amplifiers, then whether you've got gonzo wire on the left channel and zip cord on the right channel, I don't think makes any difference at all. I've never heard a difference. And if there is, it's too small for me to tell. So that's what I would wind up doing. All right. Have fun. I'll talk to you later. Bye.